Any second now, it could happen. We're obviously in a really good spot here. Oh, there we go, fish on. Fish on. Oh, there we go. Sea trout. Sea trout. Come on. Oh, shit. I'm just gonna give myself 5 minutes. There's definitely more fish to be caught. I'm over the moon. The pressure's just totally gone now. Over the moon. Yes. Oh my God. Well done, mate.
Nice.
So today we're lucky enough to be on the Warden beats on the Tyne. Now this is by far the most prolific beat on the River Tyne. It's my favourite. I've fished some of this water for about 25 years. It's got great diversity. We've got the South Tyne, the North Tyne and the actual junction as well. So the plan today is we're going to fish fast. We're going to try and cover the water. The more water we cover, the more fish we cover. We've got some great conditions, loads of cloud. Good colour of the water. Hopefully the water temperature isn't too much. I'm expecting maybe 16.5 to 17.5. So that's going to make a difference in how we fish. We're not going to fish too deep. We're going to keep the flies a little bit higher, and I'm going to be constantly working them because the sea trout in this river love a worked fly. Tactics, I'm going to set up my little switch rod. That's just going to be a full floating line, 2 really small flies. The bigger rod, the 13.6, is going to have an intermediate tip on 15 feet. Slightly bigger point fly and a small dropper again. I'm going to fish them quite similar, just work them. But whatever bit I fish will dictate what I use. If it's deeper, faster, I'll explain all that later because we don't want the fly skating on the surface. So if the river's a little bit too quick, I just want them down a tiny bit, just subsurface. But the hardest part today is going to be what's going to go on the business end. I try and stick to about 5 flies. And then I don't overcomplicate things. I'll get them in different sizes, and then I know from past records and catches that fly will work in those conditions. And if you don't overcomplicate it, it makes life so much easier. You're not contemplating changing flies halfway down the pool, which I see a lot of people do. But apologies on the fly box, is a bit of a mess at the minute. It's usually immaculate, but I've been very busy guiding, so we'll try and pick the right candy for the day. But it's a lot of small flies in here, and don't be afraid to fish small, even for salmon. The key is what we want the fish to do. We want the fish to see something but not to know what it is, because as soon as they know what it is, they've made their decision. You want them to think about it. Once they think about it, you can get a really good instinctive reaction from them, and you're halfway there. So the smaller the fly, they can't quite analyse it. They're going to come for a look sometimes. That's what I believe, because when you fish a big, bulky fly, the fish can be like, ugh, there it is. But if they can't quite see what it is, and it's a bit more natural, and you're working it, they have to make a decision. And that's the hardest bit, is getting the fish to take. The rest, playing it, I actually enjoy it. I used to hate it, but I have great fun now playing the fish. The hardest thing is getting that initial take. And that, for me, comes down to the flies definitely make a difference, because I've seen days, multiple days, where other people aren't catching and we are, and it happens on numerous occasions. And for me, it's the size of the fly, maybe even the depth. But we'll go over that later on. And again, the conditions will dictate what we use, the colour, the height and the temperature. So for the full floating line, I'll usually go maybe about 10, 11 foot, just 2 arm lengths like this. And that's the distance I'm going to have from the end of the floating tip. I'll put a dropper on probably around 6 feet from the floating tip, and obviously the point fly at the end. And a lot of people don't like fishing droppers, and I would say my catch ratio increased by at least 50%, like 7-8 years ago when I really started fishing them. I used to fish them a long time ago when I was a junior, but I lost a fish because one of the hooks got caught on something. But that happens once in a blue moon. I'd much prefer to take the increase in catch ratio and lose the odd fish because of the dropper. It's for me, it's a game changer. And to have the smaller fly on the dropper and the big fly in the point and watching them work, it actually looks like the larger fly is chasing the smaller one. Sometimes I think the sea trout get very competitive even just with the two flies. That's why they take the dropper. There's got to be something in it. That's what I believe anyway. I tell myself that. So droppers for me come into play really when it starts warming up. So mid-May onwards, I'll fish two flies and I'll fish them through to maybe first week of October, and I'll just stick to one fly. So spring fishing, one fly, late back end fishing, just one fly, unless it's super low water. But it's usually to do with the temperature for some reason in my head. I just like to fish one fly. And if there's some big crocs around in the back end, sometimes I worry a little bit about having like a little size 14 on or something. We've had fish up to 22 pounds on the dropper, which is exciting and thrilling at the time. But again, it's been a game changer for me, fishing a dropper. But I'm not going to pressurize people into doing it. It's all down to personal preference. And if you're comfortable fishing one fly, fish it. But what I believe is you're giving the fish the appetizer and the main course, so you're giving them the choice of two. And I've yet to have two migratory fish on the same cast, so the day that happens, I'll maybe start worrying about it. That would be fun though. Two salmon on at the same time. Maybe today, who knows? Now we're going to start on the South Tyne, and it's a little bits of pocket water, and all these pocket waters is fish might come in. There might be one fish in this pocket water, but if there's a fish there, you've got a great chance. It's like a little stop-off pool between the big runs and the slower runs, but there's so much diversity here. I like these little out-the-way runs and streamy bits. Sea trout always like broken water. You'll find them sort of in boils out the back of rocks and riffled water, because when it's sunny, the riffled water breaks up the sunlight, the penetration of the sunlight. But you'll notice today that the water is like quite dark. The Tyne always has a bit of a tinge to it, so the North Tyne always has a coffee stain, and the South Tyne tends to have like a tea stain. It will run super clear in low water, but at the minute it's just got the most perfect stain in it. And you'll be looking thinking, why the hell's he fishing small flies in dirty water? They'll still silhouette, the fish will still see them. So the plan is I'm going to start with a little switch rod with a floating line, fish the thin water, and then when I get to the slightly deeper, faster water, I've got the 13.6 with the intermediate tip on and two slightly bigger flies, and I'll fish those through there. That's how we're going to start this morning, and we're going to work right downstream till we hit the junction. And what I'll do is I'm going to leave the bigger rod here, because I'll fish with an intermediate tip and two different flies through here. But we're just going to go above and fish some little bits of pocket water. Like I said, there might only be one fish in there, but one fish is more than enough. But I mean, just it doesn't get any sexier than that. That's a lovely bit of water. It's a beautiful bit. Lovely bit of flow. The fish are probably going to be, if they're at the top end, hanging on the edge. But as you come through the pool, they're going to be centered in that flow there. But especially down near that quarry of rocks down the bottom in the middle. So when it gets low, I've tried to wade this, and it gets a little bit too deep in the middle in super low water, because I just want to know the depths and stuff. But I know exactly what's on the riverbed here, and my money is on this little bit further down here above that quarry of rocks, just where it gets a bit deeper. That's actually an old bridge stanchion for the old railway line that used to run into Hexham. And you might think it looks a bit of a mess, but it's actually created a lovely bit of structure and a great pool. So I'm going to leave one rod here, and we're going to go and fish a bit above. Give it a go. Let's go. So I know from previous fish that there's a couple of little areas in here, just in the middle off the back of this riffled water, this white water, but especially that bottom right-hand corner. Fish come up through the pool and they'll go straight to the right-hand side. Well, it's their left, but our right, just next to that big rock over there. So if we're gonna get fish anywhere, I'll put my money on being down there. But you've got to cover every inch of the water, because you never know. There's no written rule book for where fish lie. They'll see a bit of structure, it looks nice, but every fish is different. There might already be a fish there, so you just never know where the fish are gonna be. But my money is bottom corner. I'm gonna look stupid if it doesn't happen. Can't happen that quick, surely. in the summertime, especially when the water's a little bit lower, a little bit warmer, you'll have fish sat right in that white water. I know it's difficult to get the fly in there and to sit in there, but you can often get into a position, hang the fly, and even if the fly is slightly skating, it could really look appealing to a fish. All I'm doing here is getting the length of line out I need to, slow figure of 8 because the water's pretty quick, and I'll just keep extending it each time. And when I'm happy with the length of line, I'll start moving through the pool. It'll probably be 1 or 2 steps at a time, or what I'll do is creep. I'm not saying I'm a creep, but I like creeping. It feels so strange using this lighter rod compared to the bigger rod I've been using. That little mend there is just going to keep the line a little bit straighter, because what I don't want is the line to arc across the river, because what will happen is the line will arc across the fish before the fly. But we're not at the hot spot yet. But this weather in July is phenomenal. I mean, it's perfect. It's overcast. Well, that was a bad cast. It's overcast. It's cool. It's actually cool. I'm wearing a t-shirt, but really confident about today. Really confident. Got a little downstream breeze. That's fishing beautifully through there. I know it might look like I'm fishing the pool really fast, but for me it's the key. More water you cover, the more fish you cover. Like I say, I'm just gradually taking a step at a time, Come on. Now I will say, when you're fishing a dropper, I always check the flies every maybe 15 to 20 casts. I know it's annoying, but it's the nature of the beast. There we go, look, there's a tangle there. It's just undone. That's the key to fishing a dropper, is make sure it doesn't tangle, because naturally it's not to do with the angler, it's just the nature of the casting. You'll get the odd little tangle. I try not to fish the dropper on a big tag. I try and fish it on like about a 4 to 5 inch, just so it doesn't tangle and twist too much. I get a little bit further down, I will extend that line, but at the minute it's fine. If I go too long and too much of an angle, this centre of current's just going to get hold of the line and whip it round. So I'll keep it on a slightly shorter line for now. Might even push to the edge of the current because no one's fishing behind me, just so I can get a better angle on that bottom corner. Come on, that's on the money. Little figure of 8, come on. Then again, there might not be anything there, but you've got to fish the water. If you can leave the water knowing you've done as good as you can, perfect, move on to the next pool. If you don't fish a pool, you're always contemplating, oh, maybe I should have fished it. Did I do something wrong? Last night, I had half an hour spare. Went down, had a cast, and had a beautiful sea trout, about 5 to 6 pounds. Nelly didn't go and fish. That's the perfect cast. Come on. So what I'll probably start doing now is extending the cast and try and hit that goosander that's down there. Come on. What's that goosander doing? You know, we have a really big issue with those birds on this river. Doesn't seem to be as many now as there were, but they have so many chicks, and when you watch them work, they're sort of apex predators when it comes to small fish. They can corral the smaller fry, but when you see them hunting like smolts, par, they're really prolific and they're invasive as well. And they are protected to a certain extent still. But it's just another issue and problem that the salmon and sea trout have is predation. Come on. Again today, the key's gonna be just need to find the right fish. Not fishing the right water, we just need to find the right fish that's in the mood. And that's why we're gonna cover 12 to 14 pools. Got 2 miles of fishing. Just hang the fly on that far side. See if there's anything there. Fish it right down to the lip. You'll obviously not get anything in the broken water, but you can fish it right down to the lip. Because often the fish will come through that fast water. The first thing they're gonna do is take a chill. It's like us going for a run. You go for a run, do any exercise, first thing you wanna do is have a chill, have a breather. It's all the fish are doing in these areas here. They come through the fast water, taking a chill. I love tail ends of pools. Well, there might not be anyone home there. No one home. I'm happy we fished that very well. I'll wind in, move down to the next pool. I'm going to swap rods and get the bigger rod. It's the only issue we've got today. It's 17.7, 17.8, so it's on the high end for salmon. Not saying we won't catch anything, it's just with the water being a little bit warmer, they get a little bit lethargic. Sea trout doesn't matter at all. You can catch sea trout up to the 20s. Probably not healthy for the fish to catch them in that sort of temperature of water, but anything up to about 18, you should be good for salmon. When it gets over 18, they get really, really lethargic. But the sea trout, again, are fine. North Tyne will probably be a totally different temperature. I guarantee the North Tyne's probably even cooler. But it won't get any warmer because of the overcast skies, so we're good today. Very good. Obviously the darker water will absorb sunlight as well, so even though the water might be bigger the last few days, it's going to absorb the sunlight and the heat because it's dark. But we shall keep going. So as I always tell my guests that I want to fish with, I always fish a short water first. Don't always try and put the biggest cast out possible because you never know what is in front of you. The second biggest fish I've ever had was caught with about 12 feet of line out. And I was told that the lie was on the far side of the bank, but the water looks so inviting on the inside. So here I'm just trying to fish this inside edge. They're not going to be sat in the middle there, they're just going to be sat on this inside edge. Or the right-hand side. Now the right-hand side is going to be difficult to fish just because that central flow is so powerful. It whips around. I can hold the rod up a little bit, but it's just not quite long enough to control the fly. I don't want to wade out too much deeper either. So it's not just about swinging flies, it's about presenting them in the right manner possible. So I can just hang that a little bit. You might only get 2 or 3 seconds. It's enough. Let's swing round and then fish the inside edge. But that middle bit's going to be far too fast for fish to sit in. Salmon and sea trout. Rudely interrupted. Salmon and sea trout will always take the easiest route possible. Well, salmon more than sea trout. So it's important to... Oh! That might have been a trout. I think that was a trout. That might have been a trout. That was a good little pull there. Just difficult with that central flow to hang the fly too much. And I know it's too deep out here to get out. And as well as that, you've got to think about other anglers that might be coming down to fish behind you. If you're out too deep, you want to create good etiquette between anglers and not wreck the fishing. I know you're going to disturb the fishing, it'll probably end up back in the same spot, but it's good to be thoughtful of others. It's getting a bit easier to keep that fly on that far side now because the flow is coming tight to our side, so I can actually get the rod over the central flow whilst not falling in. Again, you might think, why is he moving the fly in that current? Well, I'm not. I'm moving the fly on the far side because it's actually quite slow. Just like this, just hang that fly, but then the centre of current will get hold of it again. But it gives it enough time, 2, 3, 4 seconds. But I always like fishing down to a hot spot because you know the best bits to come. And there's a bit down here, just away from the slightly faster water. Just as it tails off, well, it deepens off. And I know that's where we usually get fish. Casting might not look the neatest at the minute, but what I'm doing is just watching out for all the branches and stuff behind me. And I'm actually anchoring my snap and my D-loop way out into the river because I don't want to come back where these branches are. So it might not look the nicest, but it's the most functional by far. Come on, that's fishing lovely. Just getting towards the zone now. It's just easing up lovely through here. And what you'll get is, instead of picking the fish up on the right hand side, you'll actually get them in the centre flow because it's not too harsh. And we do not want that sun to come out. Not because it's going to put the fish off, just because it'll warm the water even more, which is not what we want. Come on, fish. No, you're in there. I know you're in there. As you can see now, the water, the flow is starting to die down lovely. Now this is a great spot for fish to rest in before they decide what they're going to do. It's just a lovely, lovely even flow down the centre now. You've got 2 seam lines either side, so the fish are going to be centre to the right hand side. There's a lot of bedrock on that far side as well, and a nice gully. Got that intermediate tip on. It's not going to take the fly down too deep. It's just not going to have the fly super high in the water like skating. Because I like moving the fly quite quick. I want to get a reaction from the fish. I want them to think, what is that? Rather than, here, I can see it. Check the flies. Just got to get into a routine with a dropper. Just check the flies. Yes, sometimes it can be annoying, but there you go. 20 seconds, check them. Ready to cast again. With the casting, you want to try and be as consistent as possible. Same angle, same distance. You want to put as long a line out as possible so you cover 100% of the river. Because there could be a fish 2 meters off the far bank, and if you're fishing short, you might miss that fish. And if you're consistent with the angle, it means you're fanning and mapping the whole river. So I'm happy with that. We're at the right distance. There's a nice fish just down below us. Some good trout in this river as well. It's a big chub as well. So you get that bang, sometimes you think, yep, I'm in. Salmon or sea trout. Nope, it's a big chub. This is the zone, come on. So one thing about these big nets, they just get in the bloody way. Especially when you're trying to net fish as well, you know, in current, because there's not a lot of gaps between the mesh. So there's a lot of volume to catch the water. It's not great. I'd always try and net the fish rather than beach it, but sometimes if you've got nice fine gravel, if you can get the fish, it doesn't have to be out the water, but to the shallow water, and then try and control it rather than drag it. The last thing we want to do is drag it up anywhere. Right, I know it's going to get super deep soon because this is all bottomed out after the big flood we had. Got a Stokoe shrimp on now. Had to go with a Stokoe shrimp. It's one of them things, I don't know, so a lot of the time I don't use it. It's because I've used it all these years. I like to mix and match it, but you know, in certain heights, if something works and it ain't broke, don't change it. If you know something works in a certain height, use it again. It's usually not a one-off. Only thing I will say, each fish has a different characteristic, but they've got one thing in common. If you annoy them enough, they'll have a snap. That water's just steadied right up now, so I'm probably going to work the fly a little bit quicker, just to make it look alive, just to get some reaction. If there's anything, there might not be anything there, you never know. That's what I love about salmon fishing, especially in this country, it's blind fishing. You don't know what's in front of you. A lot of these Scandinavian countries, like especially Iceland, you can sight fish, which must be exciting, but I like the mystery. Out the blue, you're just talking about football, women, cars, whatever, bang, you get a take, and it's like, out the blue. But that's such a nice bit of water there. My expectations were maybe a bit too high. And the Tyne's a funny river, like we don't really get a spring run. We get a handful of fish, not many at all. You can tell from the counter that we've got on the main Tyne. And everything seems to come in now, June, July, August, starts tailing off in September. But I think we've had up to 12,000 fish registered on the counter in July alone, previously, which is a lot of fish. I would say the majority of sea trout when you get halfway through June and July, and then it changes back to salmon again. But they're great fun. I love sea trout. I'll often, when the sea trout around, the salmon rod gets put down, and I'm sea trout fishing because I love them. And the average size is phenomenal. About £4, £4.5, I think is about the average for a sea trout. And the average size of salmon, I think, is between 10 and 11 pound. Good genetics of fish. Obviously for the sea trout as well, good feeding grounds. And they tend to be little fatties as well. Like really well proportioned, stocky fish. Great fun to catch as well, when we get one. I'm still telling you, we're having a good day today. It's a bit of a domestic. Yeah, we've got a public footpath that runs on that far side. The majority of Warden's is private, which is lovely. Again, great diversity of water. You'll see today, north and south is totally different, especially the wade in the North Tyne is not nice. But when it's not nice, means there's a lot of structure. A lot of structure means great resting spots for fish. I think when the fish enter these final rivers, like the North and South Tyne, they ease up a little bit because sometimes they charge through the main river, but they come here, I think they just ease up. But especially on the north where there's that structure. I might have to get out soon because I know there's a really deep hole in front of me here somewhere. I never use a wading stick either. Just years and years and years of wading, but when you get a big flood, I'm usually the test dummy, so I'll wade all the water. I should be able to creep down a bit further. Might have to get back out. Because safety is a big issue as well, guys. You've got to enjoy the fishing, but safety as well comes first. They say the South Tyne's usually beautiful wading, just gravel. Nice easy wading. I don't really want to miss any bits of water out either. So that's why I'm doing a bit of a recce at the minute. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. We're on. We're on. Sea trout. Oh, it's off. It's off. Ah! Oh. No. Oh man. If I had I'd take it off to it. It's what we do. You win some, you lose some. That bloody didn't have to take that fly as well. Bugger. That's why I didn't want to get out. You know, I was just saying there. Hey, there'll be other opportunities. It's frustrating because sea trout are good at doing that. And I will say, when I'm sea trout fishing, oh, sorry, I've got a bit of weed on now. At the end of the season, if I look at it and I've had 50-50 with sea trout, 50% landed, 50 lost, I'm happy because they are magicians. They can do a Houdini in a split second. It would have been nice to add a bit more fight and sport off that fish, but what we can take from it is something worked. Right depth, right flies, we're covering it right. So there's always a positive to take from a negative. You know, there's always a silver lining. It's frustrating, especially when you got the camera there. But it just shows him, I was gonna get out, I didn't wanna get out, I wanna fish through here because I don't wanna miss any water out. But what a take that was. That was how that came off, that was a solid thump. When it jumped, when they cartwheel around, they use the hooks as leverage in different angles. So salmon stay under the water the majority of the time. They'll bang the head, but do you know what they do with the angle change? They can find an area. So I know now, I am very content with the tactics we're using. And hey, look, if that's the only fish we hook today, so be it. We've done something right. You can't control the fish. They jump around like that. They use, oh, it's a trout. Ah! Just felt the tiniest of little knocks there. See, this one stays on and the other one comes off. Come on, man. It's on the dropper. For God's sake, it's probably a par. Yep. Hey, fish is a fish. And it's off. Right, can you please stay on next time? Please. Another good sign as well that migratory fish are in the mood is if I'm catching par and trout, I don't mind because it means the temperature is good enough for those fish and the air pressure is fine for those fish to feed. So we've got to get one. Oh my God. So what I'm doing is when I do my snap, I'm just anchoring it slightly out into the river. Usually a lot of people snap and your D-loop is anchoring on the bank, but I'm anchoring out here just so I don't catch the bank side. And the camera guy, never forgive us. I guarantee the hook would stay if it hooked you though. It's funny, you know, you hook your t-shirt, your jacket, a stick or a rock and it stays on. You hook a fish and it comes off. There we go. Oh, that was a good take, that. Very good take. Bugger. So what we'll do is, if you get a take or you get a follow, give it about 30 seconds, a minute. Check your flies, whatever you want. Back up slightly, and I'm going to cover that fish again. That was a very good, solid take. That was no brown trout, I'm telling you now. Same retrieve. Same retrieve, come on. Bugger. Fish down a little bit further. Try and cover where that foam is, just in those trees, and then it's a little bit featureless. Night time, this would be great. Nice easy fishing for sea trout. Nice steady water, it's not too fast. Nice high tree line on either side. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have one more cast. And then I'm going to go down the tail end because we've got a lot of water to cover today. There we go. Right, we're going to move. So what we've got here is a natural stopping point for fish. It's a junction. So you've got the South Tyne coming through here, and just on the other side of that scum line is the North Tyne. So what the fish will do, they'll come in here through the mixed water, and they'll hold up and just decide which river they're actually going to return to, the river of birth, which they always do. Now, both rivers are in good fettle today, so they're a good height. So the fish probably won't hang around too much if they come in, whereas usually South Tyne's a lot lower, and you get a lot of South Tyne fish holding up in here. But it's a great stopping point, it's a great ambush point, but you've got to be very tactical the way you fish it. You can't fish it all in one go. You've got to break it into segments and fish it. This never used to be here, all this gravel. It used to be up here. So what it's done, it's created a wider South Tyne entrance in a lovely flow, so it's more inviting. It actually looks better. It probably fishes better. We might find out in a minute. But yeah. Just got to break it into segments. Got to fish South Tyne first, wind in, fish a North Tyne, and then I'll probably fish the join. Giving away all my secrets here. Without sounding too repetitive, always fish the short water first. We've been very stealthy getting in the water. Just fish the short water first, foot at a time. Let that come round, another foot out, another foot out, another foot out. All I'm doing is mapping the river. You never know what's in front of you. People always want to put the biggest cast out possible. So I did 2 feet that time. Just a nice downward angle so the line's not going to arc too much. All I'm doing is, not even retrieving it, just a little twitch like that. Just giving it a bit of life. It's a beautiful height to fish this river. I've been away for a long time in Florida and I've come back and it's this nice. It's lovely. But again, it's a learning curve. School day again, just everything's changed. So obviously you've got people throwing rocks in down the bottom. It's not going to affect us here. If anything, any fish down there that's above them, it'll push them up into here. They'll then mix with the fish that are here and might upset them and you might actually get a take. It's when people are disrespecting what you're trying to achieve right next to you. And that does happen. I've had a few arguments on the riverbank. And it's more educating people than anything. Just like they don't understand that what they're doing is, it's affecting what we're trying to achieve. If you tell them nicely, it usually works. But you do get the odd person that doesn't agree with what you're saying, and they have every right to do whatever they want. So where the South Tyne fish are here most likely is going to be sort of to the right hand side here and into the join. Again, they're going to be taking the easiest route possible. It's going to be very interesting to see what the temperature of that river is compared to this one, because I would have thought it would be different. My casting isn't the nicest at the minute because of this bush on the right hand side, so when I get away from it I can tidy things up slightly. But again, just working the fly really slowly in towards the join. A big bit of river that down there, big bit of river. I will say, it's a difficult place to play a fish when you hook one, because when it gets into that center flow, all the fish wants to do is hang around out there. And often what I'll have to do is wade across here and try and land the fish in softer water. It's always good getting the fish out the flow into soft, still water. When I say drowning the fish, there's less oxygen. Oh, that was a huge fish. Right on par, it got the memo. Right, I'm going to shorten the line right down now, and I'm going to go put a slightly bigger fly on. The key is to stay back, because the amount of fish you've got, slack, fast slack, that'll sit just on the edge of the fast water. Obviously everyone walks down here to start fishing, you're straight on top of the fish. So I always like to stand back just in case. I've actually had fish before next to that tuft of grass. Just there. Oh, there's someone with a dog. That colour looks very good. Just in case there's anything just in there. It looks ridiculous, but you never know. Short line first. And you can manipulate that works, the way that works, by just moving the fly line. That's a lovely colour, that North Tyne as well today. Right, I'm going to put a slightly bigger fly on. Stokoe shrimp.
Do you always carry your net when fishing?
Always have my net with me just in case. It's difficult to net your own fish when it's a good fish. And the worst thing is, it's usually the change of angle when you're trying to net the fish, because the angle of the line is so close to you. It's like you've changed the angle of the hook set on the fish. So sometimes you lose fish right at the net. Usually people are too tough on them. But I've always got it just in case. If I'm getting a big fish and I'm by myself, it's going to have to get beached. But sea trout and small salmon, it's not too hard. I mean, this is fine. This is lovely to beach a fish on. You just bring it half and half, so the fish doesn't get too damaged. So all I'm going to do here is keep extending, keep extending, keep extending. It's awkward with these double handers on a short line, but you've just got to make it work. But as you can see, there's so many different current lines. There's got to be 7 or 8 or even 10. So no matter how many times you mend, so just if you get the line out at the right angle the first time, when you've got a longer line, you shouldn't have an issue. So at the minute it's fine, there's only one current line I'm fishing. Just giving it a little bit of movement. Oh, what the hell was that? There's a leaf. I thought I felt something. North Tyne's a really good colour. The other day, we had a big release from Kielder and it was going to be perfect. And then the tributary, the River Reed, came in, put a load of colour in, so it was unfishable. So today, it's just a beautiful colour. I love the North Tyne. And the North Tyne is actually the only river now that's stocked with hatchery fish. The South Tyne doesn't get any fish at all because there's enough juvenile fish when they do a grid reference check on the higher tributaries and streams. But the North Tyne still gets stocked because Kielder, when it was built, cut off, I don't know how many, 15, 20 square kilometres of spawning grounds. So they still have that stocking program in place. And obviously we've got the fish pass down there that can allow us to know how many fish are actually entering the river, which is fantastic. It's actually just been fixed. It was not working from August last year till the end of June this year. So we don't know how many fish came in the spring, but we know now there's a lot more fish coming in because of the fish being caught and the numbers on the pass. So I'm just going to keep casting out and swinging that fly into the joint from the North Tyne side. Not going to spend too long. Just a big body of water. There's a lot of current lines and a lot of depth. But that was a nice fish we saw in there before. One thing you'll probably notice is the line in the middle is getting sucked right down. And that's entirely down to the conflicting currents hitting each other. So you've got two currents hitting each other and it's pulling the line down. So you've just got to be careful when you lift that to do your cast. That's why I'm doing a very high lift and then just a quirky double spay, just to get it out. And in a second, when I've got a longer line out, I'm going to wade across there and I'm going to fish into the joint, but just very quickly. I don't want to spend too much time. I've got limited time. When you actually get in the water, you realise how strong these fish are, because that's a hell of a push of current at the minute. Now by law, I'm allowed to fish halfway across the river, so as long as I don't encroach onto their side, I'm fine. It creates good etiquette as well, because you don't want to upset the clubs and fisheries that are on the river. So now we've moved over to the North Tyne. You can probably tell by the colour of the water. Different characteristics, bit of a bigger river, really dark, but there's so many bits of structure. There's boils everywhere. Every boil means there's a rock. Salmon, sea trout love structure. But because of the darkness of the water, they'll readily take flies during the day. And even that small dropper, you watch, I'll still use it in this height of water, this colour of water, because if anything, it's silhouettes. When you see birds in the sky, you can only see them when they're dark, because they silhouette. It's exactly what the flies are doing. Go over a little change onto a band special. Just got a little tiny hothead on, still a dressed fly. Just give them something different. I mean, I'd eat that. Maybe not today. So what I'm going to do is wait out, slightly up to give me a good angle on that first boil there. And then I'm going to fish all the way down at a good pace, but it's very rocky. So, just got to take my time. I don't like using a stick because it's something else to carry. It's bad enough having the net, but there's nowhere to beach fish here, so I've got to take the net. Right. Just want to give myself a good angle on all these boils. Just these rocks are a bit of a nightmare. I'm probably going to do a lot of unorthodox casting, like cack-handed, snap scene stuff. Sometimes I find it, I love casting on my left shoulder, but sometimes I like to retrieve straight away and then having to change the rod back and forward. So if I was to do a left-handed cast, goes out lovely, but then I've got to change my hand and stuff. But sometimes I'll do a cack-handed one, leave it in the same hand and just do it over my opposite shoulder. Lovely colour and height though, lovely. But the majority of this now is just keeled water. So, not a lot of natural water coming down. It's not a bad thing. Keeled is a godsend because in the summer when it's low, they constantly release. It'll drop the temperature of the river, it'll add more oxygen, and it allows the fish to move, and it allows you to actually fish as well. I tell you what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to take the temperature. It feels colder, but it's probably just in my head. Oh my God, it's way colder. 16.9. It's nearly a degree cooler, and that can make a huge difference. That bodes well for this afternoon. You think it's got to be fish in here, man. 100%. I'm not having that earlier sea trout as the only one we're hooking today, like, for sure. Not with this water temperature on this North Tyne. No way. Boulders everywhere, it's like Boulder Alley. That's the cast, lovely. Not seen any fish really. Saw one fish in the junction, and it's probably to do with the cooler temperatures in the North Tyne maybe. But it's been a funny year. The fish just haven't been shown, but they've been there because they've been getting caught. And one of my best ever days, we hooked 14 fish in a day, landed 8 with 2 guests, and we didn't see a single fish apart from the ones that we were hooking. So they were running like mad. Water was a little bit higher, a little bit cooler. They're definitely there. Just need 1, maybe 2 if we want to be greedy. But again, fish in the water quick. I'm stepping as I'm retrieving. Just want to cover this water. The more water you cover, the more fish you cover. If you're in an area with loads of fish, don't rush it. And obviously you've got to remember, if anyone's fishing behind you, you've got to create good etiquette. So salmon fishing, sea trout fishing on rivers, have a cast. Oh, there we go. Sea trout, sea trout, sea trouts, sea trouts. Right. There's a lot of rocks here, so I just want to be careful. Now this is going to be fun. Got rocks everywhere, nets on my back. I don't like the way it's head banging at all. So what I'll do is I'll just hold that away from my body. I like getting the net out partially. There we go. Step 1. Step 2. These nets really aren't great for being by yourself, but there you go. Right. It's nowhere near netting yet, but it's nice to have it out. It's on the dropper. It's not a huge sea trout, but it's a fish. I'm an issue with the current here. Come on. So I want to bring it up to the side, and then I'll use the current to hopefully come on. That current is really bad on that net. Really bad, and I've got a point fly on as well. Oh my God. Don't like this at all. Don't like this at all. It's really fresh as well. Come on, come on. No. Jesus Christ. Just need some circus music. No, 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 no. All right. Come on. Oh, shit. Fuck. Oh. I'm just going to give myself 5 minutes. The net. Oh, my God. Change of angle of the fish. And trying to net it in that current. Oh. Oh. Big net, what I was saying earlier. Big net, volume of water. The great thing about those nets, are great for the fish, but they are awful to land fishing. Fish went above me, changed the angle, bringing it back down. It was just coming back down. The net was too caught up in the water volume, and I just couldn't get the fish in the net. That's 2 fish lost today. Very, very disappointing. Very disappointing. That was fresh as anything. It was very small sea trout, but it was super fresh. Give myself 5 minutes, I'll get back in. On to the next bit. It's got to keep going, man. Just got to keep trying new pools. It's interesting, that's actually a degree cooler than the South Tyne. And as always, what we can take from this morning is that's 1 good hard pull and 2 hookups. So we're fishing right. We'll just blame the angler instead, angling error. But no, I think if it had been in a different area, I would have had that fish straight in the net. But it's only a small one, we'll get a bigger one. So we're now on the North Tyne. We've been fishing the south and the lower North Tyne, but this is just predominantly the North Tyne now. You can probably tell it's a lot bigger, it's a lot darker, but I'm still going to stick to the same tactics. I'm going to upsize my fly slightly just because of the height of the water. There's been 2 boys fishing here this morning, they haven't seen or touched anything, but it doesn't mean there's fish that aren't here. But I'm very, very confident. This is my favourite beat. Thistle rig, I absolutely love it. I usually do very well here. I'm very confident. Conditions are still really good, water temperature is really good, so just got to stick at it, keep casting, forget about the lost fish, try to, and just fish as hard as you can, but try and enjoy it at the same time, because that's why we do it. You know, as soon as you lose the love for it, it's not worth doing, and everything always seems to revolve around pictures and videos of fish and landing fish, but hey, look at the environment you're in. Look what's around you, the people you're with, and you know, it's the most prolific salmon fishing river in England. Always a chance, always. So we're just going to change up slightly. We'll go slightly bigger on the drop up. I might go even slightly bigger on the point fly as well. I'll do the dropper first. Yeah, the one thing I will say about the North Tyne, the wading is not great, but you can see all the boulders and rocks. That's continued out into the riverbed, so that's why these areas are so good to fish. There's so much structure, man. Look at the size of the rocks. Every little boil you see is a bit of structure on the bottom. So there's multiple areas you can catch fish. It's always nice to have a hot spot, but some of these beaches you can literally pick fish up anywhere because there's so much structure. And on a day like today, we've got a 1.2 foot on the gauge. You're more likely to have fish running. You'll have fish holding in certain areas like below the rapids, below the rock, the big rock down at the bottom. But you'll have fish that'll be moving through all the time, and running fish are usually quite hard to hook, and especially to land as well. That's not my excuse for earlier, by the way. But I'm just starting in an area where most people don't bother fishing because the wading's bad and they want to start a little bit further down, but I've had multiple fish on the wading line where people start. So what I'm going to do is, it's had a bit of a break from the guys this morning. I'm just going to fish down to it nice and steadily. Try not to get wet. Probably one of these areas you could stand all day when the fish are running and cast and cast and cast, and you'd probably connect with something eventually. But for me, I just like to move around, man, cover the water. That next step could be another fish, you know, you just never know. But the majority of fish on this beat, when the water's like this, are going to be centered to that side. You might pick the odd fish up on just on this side of the center, but this side's mainly for big water. Still under 17. Well, it was just under 18 in the other place, you know, it's huge. 1 degree temperature, I can feel it in my waders. Again, slightly warmer temperature, you can fish a lot higher up in the water. Springtime and later in the year, I'm always fishing slow to fast sinking tips just to get down to where the fish are. They're a bit more sluggish. The water's too cold or too hot, I think the fish just, you've got to really put it right in their face. Whereas you get sometimes like an optimal temperature, maybe for salmon between 11 and 14, and the fish, you know, they'll travel for a fly. Whereas with sea trout, my favourite temperature by far is about 16.5 degrees. I always keep a record of the temperatures of the water when I catch fish, and 16.5 seems to be a really good temperature for me, especially with those small flies and working them. Now what we want is a good hard take and then not see the fish and the fish stay deep, and that's one of the best indications of a salmon. Then a lot of head banging, and if the fish starts head banging, what I tend to do is I just pull the rod away from my body, and what happens is when the fish bangs its head, it can pivot in your wrist. If it's here and it's banging its head, there's quite a bit of pressure on it, and it seems to aggravate I can't even speak, jet lag. Aggravate the fish even more. But just holding it away from your body when you've got a head banging fish, whether it's a sea trout or salmon, there's less pressure and it just pivots in your wrist. Whereas in your body, the only thing that can happen is the tip will go up and down. A lot more pressure on it. Just need a hook of fish to test it. Now, if there's ever been a bit of structure that attracts fish, we've got one right down here, just nothing at all and one huge piece of rock. Now for me, when we usually get the fish, we actually get fish above them as well, like right in front of it. There's something called a hydra cushion, which is a body of water hitting something solid. It can't obviously go through it, so it gets pushed slightly back forward on itself and then over. It's like dolphins in front of a boat. So a salmon can sit in front of that rock at total ease, like no hassle at all. The best area though is a little bit further back, probably about a rod's length back of the rock on that crease. Easy for the fish to sit on, but still getting enough oxygen and flow. There's got to be a fish around this rock. Again, if you look past the rock, it's just dead water, not a lot of structure. The first main moving water is just below this big rock, and then that big bit of structure. You'd think that anything that's just come through there is just going to chill for a bit, settle. I think that was a trout further down there. But again, we're on a running height today, 1'2". So the fish, even though we're not seeing them, most likely going straight past us. Right, in a really good spot here. Really good spot. Come on. Oh, there we go, fish on. Fish on. Definitely a nice fresh sea trout, that one. Acrobatics. She's saying we're coming down to a really nice spot there. There's doing a lot of head banging, this fish. Really fresh. Just gonna take my time with it. I haven't seen what it's on yet. Can you open that net up for me, please, Patrick? Cheers, bud. Thank you. Sorry, mate. What I'll often do sometimes is just back wind a little bit. If you feel the fish like starting to pull a lot, I'll just back wind. I don't know what he's on yet. Acrobatics. Strong fish. For their size, very fresh fish. I'm using a very soft rod as well. Just an 8-weight, but it's got a very soft action on it. Just get this ready. The fish isn't ready yet, but I like having the net ready just in case. That actually looks like a little grilse. That looks like a small salmon. Very small salmon. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Oh, shit. We got him this time. We've got him. Oh. Oh. Job done. Oh my God. Do you know how happy I am? Oh my God. Perfectly hooked in the scissors there. When the fish get hooked in here, sometimes when you hook them on the dangle, it's very difficult to keep the fish on because it's really bony. So when you get them in the side and the scissors, it's absolutely perfect and they stay on. I didn't panic and it didn't go above me, so we're all good. Just feels like the pressure's just gone. Nice little fight from it as well. I would have said sea trout all day long, and you know, you just never know. But I'll take a grilse all day long. Still a salmon. Shocked it didn't take the point fly, but that's why we fish a dropper. All 3 fish today we've hooked has taken a dropper, so that's why I fish droppers. So a couple of lost fish. Didn't think it was going to happen. Was expecting another sea trout. Look at that, for a beautiful little grilse. Took the dropper. We're just going to hold it in the water for a while, just till it recovers. When it's ready to go, this top fin here will usually stick up and the fish will shoot off. That's what should happen, but as long as you keep them in the flow, I just don't. There we go, it's as simple as that. We've worked so hard for that fish. We've had so many close calls, but just upsized the treble to a little double, a low water one. The water's a little bit higher here. I didn't think the pattern was the main thing that was causing the issue. I think it was the hook size, and that one stayed on. That was well hooked. And when I was actually playing it, another fish came out, so there's more fish to be caught, but I'm over the moon. Just shows you've got to stick at it. If you feel something, go for it, change it. I just fancied a little change on the dropper, but again, all 3 fish have been hooked on the dropper. So that's one of the reasons I fish it. Why you didn't take the point fly, which is a bigger, who knows? But no, there's definitely more fish to be caught. But I'm over the moon. The pressure's just totally gone now. Over the moon. Yes. I mean, I think we've picked the perfect day, to be honest.
It really feels like it's getting.
It's definitely, the temperatures definitely feels like it's dropping. The only reason I'm not moving yet, mate, I'm just extending the line a little bit further. And when I've extended the line to my distance, I'll start moving. But I just like this little bit through here. Oh, there we go. That's a salmon. Might be another grilse. That's a lovely little tape. Not as aggressive as the sea trout earlier. Just a nice pull away. Yeah, it's not a huge fish, this. But again, just take your time, enjoy the fight. We've had a fish now, so we can enjoy. Be interesting to see, is it on the dropper or the point? It's on the point fly. And oh, it's very small. Yeah, it's on the point fly this time, which is interesting. We are fishing in bigger water though, so who knows. It's not a very big fish, this, but it's a fish. Come on. I don't mind when they run around because they wear themselves out. It's when they start jumping, I get a little bit worried. That's it, go up. Not that far, not that far, not that far. No, 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 no. That's what I didn't want. Not again. Come on this time. Nope. Oh. These big nets in that strong water, it's a nightmare. But I am very happy. Very happy. Nearly broke my rod as well. Another grilse. They're not sea lice, they're actually called argulus, these things here. They're freshwater lice. As soon as a fish enters the river, they get covered in them, but that's a beautiful fish. That can have only been in a few days. Oh, what a great fight as well. Look at that. That's why it was going crazy. It's hooked on the tongue.
What far is that?
It's a curry shrimp. It was either a band special or a curry shrimp. They look identical. And I just thought I'd upsize the hooks, but it's the first one we've hooked on the point fly. So, you know, it makes you think earlier, would it have mattered about the dropper? But I think with the sea trout for sure, but for the salmon, I'm really happy with that. He knew I was going to let go there. Well, perseverance pays off. Fish number 2, beautiful grills. This one's a bit bigger, about 5.5, 6 pound, very lively. Very, very lively. That fish is going to go straight back. Gave me a great fight. But I'm going to have one last look. Look at that, beautiful fresh fish. Only came in the river a couple of days ago. That's going to go back fine. And a little splash to say goodbye. You know what it is? It's amazing how things can change in an instant. Like half an hour ago, doom and gloom, and then 2 grills later. You know, it's people compare grills differently to salmon. They're exactly the same. They've just been at sea 1 year. You know, to me they're as important. Yes, they're smaller, but great fun, man. Love catching them. And I had another pull just before that. There's definitely more fish in here, so I think what we're going to do is go to the top of the beat again and fish down, because I would love to get a hat-trick of salmon today. Well, forget about the sea trout. No, I'm done. Sea trout, salmon. Mate, fucking get in.